Another year has come and gone, and it is time to set some health goals for the new year. If you're like a lot of people, you've experienced some frustration due to the COVID-19 with nutrition and eating, right? And maybe are considering some type of exercise to get in better shape this year. Tomah Health Occupational Therapist JacobPeloquin has some timely information for anyone thinking of exercise goals during this edition of Healthcheck360. Welcome, Jacob, to Hometown Life. It's great to have you.
Hi, thank you.
What's your role right now with Tomah Health as an occupational therapist?
So that's a common misconception, is that occupational therapy has to do with a job.
Right, because that word occupation,
Right,
you think,
right.
oh, it's my career.
But our profession, occupational therapy, we define an occupation as anything a person occupies their time with. So it's a very diverse field that I have, and I can really target a lot of different things, different aspects of human life.
Okay, so New Year's resolutions are coming up, or New Year's goals, right? Is that kind of the better way to say it?
Yeah.
Why is that almost better to say New Year goals than a resolution?
Well, I think a goal allows you some flexibility, whereas a resolution is saying, okay, I used to do things this way, and I'm going to be doing it a different way. And it kind of is setting you up for a great challenge, I think, because there's a lot of things that if you are so used to living life in one certain way, to change things on a dime can be very challenging.
Okay.
So I think if you have goals, the things you're going to shoot for, it's okay. You know, you can give yourself some grace if you don't quite make it to that goal, and you can have a different goal every month or every week even.
Okay, and let's talk about the exercise goal, because I think that's what a lot of people, they're like, I'm going to start running every week, or I'm going to, how should somebody even think or consider that kind of exercise?
Right. So if we're going to be talking about exercise, I want to first start out with the difference between exercise and a goal-directed activity. So if you can do a goal-directed activity, you're going to have a lot better success because it's got a purpose behind it. There's a why, and the why always has to be bigger than your butt. So you know, you get into starting to do things, and you get into starting exercise, but you've got all these other things that come up. But if you're going to be doing exercise for your activity, that's certainly plausible, you know, because it's very easy to grade the exercise, and it makes it a lot easier to do things more safely. Now, if you're going to be doing exercise, a good rule of thumb, just to get started out, maybe start with 10 minutes a day minimum, but work up to 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. That's a good. That's the recommended minimum for people, for adults. Start with just a walk, you know, but include a friend, because that, when you involve relationship, you're going to have a lot more success, and it's going to be more fun whenever you do something with someone else. So I would suggest doing that, but also making sure that you are not not overdoing it, not pushing your limits too far, because you can deal with some exhaustion afterwards.
Okay, so you say I'm going to run 5 miles every day this whole week, and you haven't been running at all.
Right. Don't go from 0 to 60.
Right. You need to start, like you said, you just even get the 10 minutes a day to start with for your exercise. Well, what are some good tips then overall, like with a person's general health that goes along with exercise? So exercise, I always heard the saying that, you know, exercise is good for your body, and then food is the kind, your diet and nutrition is more of the weight loss. So people are you can walk 5 miles, but then you can go eat a donut and you've just X'd out the 500 calories, or you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, Jacob, so what are some tips then just to be healthy overall too?
So you got it right. You know, making sure that you eat healthy, that's important. Make sure you're well hydrated. That is so important. People usually don't get enough water, and it is so crucial for our health and well-being. That, along with making sure that you're breathing in deeply enough, especially when you're exercising, because muscles can work in 2 different ways. They can work with oxygen or without oxygen. Now, without oxygen, it's fantastic because you can get away from that predator that's chasing you. The
fight or flight response?
Right. So you can get away and you can survive. But it comes at a cost where you have this lactic acid building up in your muscles, and you've got to flush that out. So if you breathe in enough oxygen, the more oxygen you breathe in, the less lactic acid you'll have. The more water you take in, the more lactic acid you'll be able to flush out.
So really, water and breath are huge, and anybody can do that. It's like a free thing. You don't have to sign up to the gym to do those things.
Right, but making sure you're getting that activity,
Okay.
Somehow, and doing any movement is going to help. Help your body, even if you're not lifting weights. Just start out with just some simple range of motion exercises, just flexibility things. You don't have to, like I said, you don't have to go full bore. But then you can start working up to more resistive exercise.
If you were going to give someone like your top 3 exercise tips, what would you say?
Well, I would say you always want to start out with some deep belly breathing.
Okay.
Fully expanding your lungs and your stomach.
Okay.
Getting that oxygen into your tissues out there. Then what you can do, just some simple walking, do some running, jogging is good. If you can't, start doing some light lifting of weights. You can, you might want to plank. Some people really find planking is helpful in place of doing push-ups. You can plank and just time it. How long can you sit there?
Sure.
You go down on your forearms and plank that way. You can hold yourself up this way. I think that it's important also to consider getting involved in your community. What can you do? Because that's going to help you for the long haul. There's a saying, each one of us needs every one of us, and every one of us needs each one of us. All of us, we're all part of this whole community together.
It really addresses that mental health piece, that connectedness.
Right.
Jacob, thank you so much for coming in and your great tips and your knowledge.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.